If you've ever found yourself reaching for a snack even when you know you're not hungry, or polishing off dessert even though you're trying to lose fat, you are not weak. You're not broken, you're just human. And today I want to break down why this happens straight from the way your brain is wired to make decisions around food. Because once you understand how your survival brain works, a lot of eating behaviors start to make total sense. Hey, I'm Julia. If you're new here, welcome to my channel where I teach you exactly how I lost 30 pounds by understanding the science of fat loss and how you can do the same. So here's the first thing we have to get really clear on. If we're going to understand our eating habits, we first have to understand how the brain makes decisions, especially around food. Your brain is basically a survival machine, and every decision it makes, whether it's reaching for comfort, seeking safety, or eating, is filtered through one primary, ultimate goal: to stay alive. Now, because food is essential for survival, it holds a special power. It's not just fuel, it's a very powerful teacher. So here's what happens. Anytime something good happens, like eating something tasty, your brain pays very close attention. It says, ooh, that worked, let's do that again next time. And to make sure you remember, it literally wires itself so that the pattern leading up to that good outcome becomes stronger. This is called reinforcement learning, and it runs in the background completely outside of your awareness. And the key messenger in this process: dopamine. So let's talk a little bit more about dopamine. Dopamine is your brain's teaching signal. And when you eat something rewarding, dopamine gets released. And the more dopamine that's released, the more deeply the brain learns, that was good, let's make sure this happens again. Pleasure comes more from chemicals like endorphins, whereas dopamine is more about motivation and learning. So even if your rational brain knows that the third slice of pizza isn't a great idea, your survival brain has already decided it wants it, and it's learning to want it even more next time. So dopamine is the reason for that itchy urge to keep eating. Now you might also wonder, why don't I feel that same magnetic pull toward broccoli? And not all foods are equally reinforcing. The brain is wired to instinctively seek out calorie-dense foods with combinations of fat, sugar, starch, salt, anything that signals energy. And back in our hunter-gatherer days, calories were scarce, so it made sense that our brains would be obsessed with finding them. So fast forward to today, and food scientists have figured out how to engineer foods that hijack the system. Highly processed foods are designed to be hyper rewarding, meaning they trigger way more dopamine than your brain evolved to expect. So even if you're full, even if you're on a health kick, your survival brain doesn't care. It sees those cues, sights, smells, sounds, and the dopamine starts firing. You're being motivated before you even realize what's happening. And this is why willpower so often fails. The smell of the pizza, the sight of the cookies, these aren't just tempting, they're neurologically reinforcing. And to make it more complex, we all vary in how sensitive our brains are to food cues. Some people just find food more motivating than others. That's not a flaw, it's something you'll learn to work with, not against. I've always really enjoyed food. I love food, actually. And we all know people who aren't super into food. They're not foodies like us, but that doesn't mean we can't work with that and still reach our goals. And here's one last layer to this for today. Your brain has two parts that often clash when it comes to food decisions. There's your rational brain, which plans ahead and wants to protect your future self. And then there's your survival brain, which wants food that tastes good right now. From an evolutionary standpoint, the survival brain usually wins because it was in a dangerous, uncertain world where the future wasn't guaranteed. So we evolved to prioritize immediate reward over long-term gain. And that's why you can really want to lose fat and still eat the donut. But here's the good news. Once you understand the why, you're no longer stuck in shame or self-blame, all the things that are holding you back. You can start to work with your brain instead of constantly fighting it. And you can actually retrain reward values and work with your cravings. Because when it comes to lasting change, it's not about white knuckling through cravings all the time. So if this resonated with you and you want more tools to work with your survival brain, like how to reduce cravings and rewire your reward system, make sure to hit subscribe and check out the next video. But remember, you've got this, and I'll see you in the next one.